All right, so I'm hanging out and I'm making a fire. I'm doing my prep for it, and I wanted to go ahead and do a review on this knife. This is an M-Tech knife. It's in their Extreme Survival series. It's got a 440 stainless steel blade, precision crafted in China. Not a bad knife. It might look a little gimmicky and a little techy, but I do like that. It's the only one I've got right now that's like this. But I'm kind of going through a kind of a back to basics, or kind of more of a realistic approach to survival. And I got this knife. It's only 20 bucks, so it's affordable. I think that was free shipping too if I got it off of eBay. And I have been using this knife. It's actually been on my leather belt setup for a couple of weeks now, and I am pleased with it. I have been chopping with it. I've chopped a couple of trees down. I've been doing feather sticks. It carves really nice. The back of the blade doesn't really have a good place to strike a ferro rod, but right here in this notch, that is aggressive enough to strike a ferro rod, so you don't have to mess up your blade. And with all of the cutting and chopping that I have done, this thing will still shave my arm. So the knife is definitely a good knife for the money. The sheath is a little hokey, but not the worst nylon sheath I've ever seen. It has a plastic insert and a couple of these Velcro things that I just assume cut off. But it is a fairly sturdy sheath, and it's just retained by a pretty decent snap. It's, I wouldn't parachute with it, strapped up here, but it's a decent sheath for the money, and something that I would maybe actually use to model a sheath maybe out of leather later on. It does have a little pocket. It does not come with this whetstone. This is something that I added on to, or I added to it, because in the past, stainless steel blades, depending on the tempering, can lose their edge fairly quickly. But I have not touched this edge up since the original one I did. I always touch up factory edges. There's always like wire edges and stuff. So I touched it up a little bit with this stone, and I have not had to since. So this knife is heat treated pretty good. Well, what I do like about 440 stainless is, if it's done correctly, it will hold an edge, and it's not so brittle like some stainless steel knives that if you say go to chop with it, I've had them where you sink it in there and you hear click, and when you pull it away, you have a finger-sized chunk that's snapped out of your knife. 440 typically won't do that. If you were to hit a rock or something, it'll usually ding rather than split, or a chip. So you'd end up with a flat spot in your blade versus a big missing spot. So, which that's going to happen if you're out doing, stuff like that. Like if you dropped it or something like that on concrete, it'll ding rather than actually break away. So, not a bad knife. I would definitely say it's a good knife for probably like a starter knife. If you're looking for something about this size, it's only about a 4 1/4 inch blade, and it's really broad, so you can do stuff like this and choke up on it without having to get up to the edge really bad. So you can go up like that and really get in there and get splinters and stuff out. So anyways, that's just kind of my review on this. I got it because of I'm kind of going through this thing about realistic survival stuff, and this is something that a regular person could get their hands on, versus like a $70 K-bar that I've been using for the last year or so, which is a great knife if you can afford it. But this one's a little more realistic, and it could get you through stuff. It's also got this glass breaker on the end, so you could use that to do some work with too. So anyways, that's just my 2 cents on that.